Tracy. I work at the art gallery, but today you're in my home studio where I do lots of things, and one of those things are artist trading cards. I love making artist trading cards because they're small and they're portable and you can work on them for just a few minutes at a time if you want. But what's really great is that I can have a huge collection of other people's artwork all in a binder. This is my entire ATC collection. I've got cards from all over the world. It's really quite exciting. I've traded with people from Japan. I've traded with people from all over the United States and Canada. I have traded cards from the UK, from Saudi Arabia. It's just really been a really fun experiment. You can try out some new media. You can work in media that you've never done before. It's just a really great little way of making art. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to recycle old art into artist trading cards, because sometimes you've done artwork on watercolor paper or whatever and you're kind of done with it. Maybe you don't really like it that much. Maybe it just is laying around not doing anything, or maybe you've got pieces of watercolor paper that you've done testing on, or practice some painting, or something just didn't work out. Well, you can recycle that into artist trading cards. And so what I'm going to show you today is how to make, how to use collage and stamping and watercolor to add layers and layers on top of your old artwork and create something new. The other thing we're going to do is, some artists like to make their artist trading cards with the pre-cut card, and they're 2.5 by 3.5 inches, just like baseball cards. And they make their whole work of art on here, and that's awesome, that's amazing. But what I'm going to show you today is how to create a whole sheet of artist trading cards at a time. Like using collage, I'm going to use collage with acrylic medium and tissue paper. I'm going to use watercolor paints, and I'm going to use stamping. And we're just going to layer and layer all of these things on top of a whole sheet and then cut it into artist trading card size. And then it's kind of a surprise, and you see what you get. And some things are already beautiful and done, and some cards you can add little bits onto afterwards, but it's like Christmas. You get a present when you finish cutting them up. So that's what we're going to do today. I think I'm going to do a little bit of watercolor on this just to fill in some of the space around and make lots of color. It'll be so random, but it doesn't matter. Later on when I do the cutting into the right artist trading card size, then we'll see how it looks. And I can always go in afterwards and touch it up with different colored paint too. It's a really great thing about trading cards. Once you have cut it and you've got this great little card, you can actually go, wow, I really hate that. I'm gonna add stuff to it. And you can glue things onto it. You can use collage and do all kinds of, just stamping, sticking things on. Some people glue beads on. I don't know. There's just no end to the stuff you can do. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. A little bit of dry brushing there. Okay. I have so many different little things that I can use here. I've got sparkly paper, and I don't know what this is, some weird coconut stuff. There's washi tape. I've even got a piece of an old letter that's written on a typewriter. That's pretty amazing. I've got handmade or hand-painted paper that my artist friend Jane made. I have old Electroset. Like, is that not the coolest? Electroset. Like, who uses that anymore? I've got some of that. I've got this really great Star Trek catalog for Star Trek stamps that I've been cutting like Kirk and Picard's face out of, which I think is super fun. And there's even beads. Like, you can just put all kinds of things on these things. But I think right now I'm going to take some tissue and do a little bit of collage using tissue and acrylic medium. If you've never done that before, acrylic medium is basically like just white glue thinned down, and you can use white glue thinned down if you want to do a little bit of layering and collage. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'm just going to go crazy and like stick collage stuff on here, but you can absolutely be more controlled and use a little dish. I'm just really impatient is all. So I do have a bit of a wet brush, and I push all of this gunk around. Basically I'm creating a glued surface.
And then I just push this off a little bit to the side. I can stick my tissue down, and it's better if it's really wrinkled because then it makes nice lines and wrinkly bits. Oops. So I'll stick all that down. Ooh, a nice tear. And then where it's wet, you can tear it really easily. And then use it again over here. And as long as you have some stuff that's underneath it, you'll always be fine. So you're gluing it on the top and the bottom. I'm going to tear it a little bit there. Now I'm going to get a different color. Let's use this gold. I like gold. So as you can see, I had some down there already, but I'm running out on top. So I'll just stick some more on top. Person should really stock up before starting the project, but that's fine. And then once I have more space covered up with tissue, I can layer. I can use other colors to layer, and it actually does create different colors. So you can see the blue through the gold, but now, like if I add the red, I'm making a whole different color. It's going to be really cool. I'm very excited. Oh, I think I need more underneath here. I have to scoop. There. So I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to just cover this whole thing with various colors of tissue paper. Okay, well, I've covered this up, and I've added a few other little tidbits just to, add something, and I'm kind of excited. I think I'm going to do some stamping on this one, so now I really need to let this dry before I do that. So while we're waiting for all the tissue paper and the watercolor to dry, this is a great opportunity to make inchies. So inchies are just little, and all I did with these ones is use cardstock, and I collaged some old book pages onto the cardstock, and then I cut it up into tiny, tiny little squares that are about 1 inch square. This one's littler, this one's a little bit bigger, but what I'm going to show you is something that we can do after all of the things are dry. So with your inchie, you can take it and you can drag it in a stamp pad. So look at what it looks like right now. And then drag, 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 drag. See, and it's kind of giving it a really interesting edge. So you go all the way around, and it's going to look really cool when you put it against another color or other images or whatever. It just really makes it stand out. And then the other thing you can do is actually do that with your card. So you can scrape it and get this nice black edge, so you can really see what it looks like when it's against another card. And it just really, I don't know, it adds drama to it. I don't know, it's just something else. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So when we do that with like a gold one, that just looks really cool. There's other colors you can use, like if you want to use green. If you have like whatever stamps you got in the house, you can just use whatever you got, and it still does the same thing. It just really makes it pop. So that's kind of fun. So I've decided that I hate this, and it's too shiny and too high contrast. So I'm going to put a collage of tissue paper on top of it. Ooh, I've watered that down. Can you tell? I'm just going to push it around with my fan brush, which I think is the only use for a fan brush ever. These things are dumb and useless. Sorry, I don't mean to be dissing an awesome art material, but the fact is I've never used a fan brush for anything except this. So as you can see, putting the tissue on here still allows me to see some of the things that I did, and then if we tear a little bit, then we can make it still show through if we really want some shine to show through. So I'm just going to do that and get a couple of different neutral-ish colors onto this piece of weird bad art. See, this is the thing, you can make bad art into good art. There's always a way to make a masterpiece. You don't have to make it on the first go. Oh yeah, look at that. Making shiny bits and lumps, lots of lumps. So my other large pieces are just about dry, but before I get going on those, I'm going to try a Electroset thing. So I've got all this Electroset of people. I'm going to just put it on my little inchie. And so if I kind of move around, I can find all these little potential groupings of people that are kind of random and kind of interesting. I don't know what to do though. The one thing about old Electroset is that it doesn't always come off in one go. Here's a guy pointing for some random reason. So here's how Electroset works. You really are just pressing down and transferring some blobby ink-like stuff onto your paper surface. People in graphic design used to do this. This is how they would make maps and diagrams and architectural designs and stuff. Yeah, it's a little blobby, but it looks kind of cool. So I'm going to stamp this one that we've done with watercolor, and I'm just going to use black and this squarish kind of thing that I've got. It's going to be a different sort of stamp. It doesn't fit in the stamp pad, so it's going to be like just lots of bits of that. And I can just layer and layer and get all kinds of interesting patterns just with that end of the stamp. I'm going to use my moon stamp and do the same thing and just not worry too much about the whole image being transferred or how heavy it is. I'm just trying to get layers of information on there. Ooh, here's a cool circle one. I'm going to use this one now. And I might change colors at some point too. But right now, I'm just like loading it up. And not really thinking too hard about it. Because remember, we're going to cut these up into artist trading card sizes. And so it really won't matter what we're doing in terms of composition, because we're creating composition once we cut them up. Okay, now to the other one. Just going to do the same thing, put some random stamp bits all over the place. Oh, wait, there's a fish. I'm going to do the fish. There's an interesting fish. I'll put him in the blue. He's kind of a medieval fish. I like him. And I'm just going to layer him on. And it doesn't matter if he's blotchy and not really there, because we're going to be doing all kinds of trimming, and, you know, we'll get pieces of the fish. Oh, yeah. And the gold, too. Ooh, what does he look like over here? And in the red. Okay, enough of him. I'm just going to do the circle stamp on this one, too. See how it looks. I got some black and some blue. I don't know if it really will show up, but maybe a little. It doesn't really matter. I'll just keep layering on. And if when I cut it out, I don't really like how they look, I could stamp some more. I could add more color. I can add objects or beads. I can do whatever I want. But this is just a really nice way to kind of surprise myself later on. Before I get too excited cutting, I'm just going to see where I'm going to get the maximum number of cards out of this. Should I go 3.5 this way or 2.5 this way? So on my cutter, it just so happens I have a ruler, but you can just use any ruler to figure out how many inches your sheet is. So if I go 3.5 inches, I can go 1, and then to 7 is another one. 10.5 is another one. Ooh, I might be able to get 4 in this direction. But what is it this way? Let's see. It's 3.5 to 7. Ooh, I think I might do it that way. So what I'm going to do is trim this little end that's white off. And then I'm going to do a quick little trim on this side just to make sure my edges are nice and straight, but making sure I don't make it less than 7, because I know that 3.5 plus 3.5 is 7. I have to have a 7-inch wide thing there. Okay, so I'm going to trim this one. Oops. And then this way. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. So I'm making sure that this lines up with the 7 so that I've got definitely 2 cards in that direction. And then I'm going to cut it into the 3.5. So 3.5 is here. Ta-da! Oops, wait a minute. I didn't quite cut that all the way through on that side. Okay, so the first one, let's see what the first one looks like. So this will be 2.5 going in this direction. But you know what? I want to trim off this floofy edge. I don't need that. So I'm going to make sure, see, we know we have 3.5 inches that way, but we have to have 2.5 that way. So I have to go in from this angle like this and cut that 2.5. Ooh, so there's one card. And then this one, 2.5. Cut. Oh, there's another card. Oh, I like that one. That sounds really nice. 2.5. Oh yeah, I'm liking this. 2.5. Oh, it's also pretty good. And 2.5. Look at that. I can just squeeze out that one. I get 5 cards on that string. Let's see what this one looks like. Trim off my weird little excess. Okay, ready? 2.5. There's a fishy one. I kind of like the fishy ones. I might have to use more fishy stamps. That one, look at that. That's awesome. 2.5. Ooh, I like that with just that little bit of the writing on there. 2.5 again is there. I really like that one. And then I got one more. Oh my gosh, I barely squeezed that one out. Ta-da! 10 artist trading cards out of that one sheet. Okay, I'm going to do this one that's on an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. And the thing about an 8.5 by 11 is that you can cut it into exactly 10 trading cards. So I'm going to cut one strip that's 3.5 inches wide, and I'll be able to get 4. And then this strip I will cut 2.5 inches wide, and I should be able to get 6 more out of that. Okay, so my first cut will be in this direction to the 3.5 inches mark. Okay, I'll just leave that aside for a sec. I don't like all my weird edges here, so I'm going to trim those off first. Goodbye. Okay, and now with this one, I'm going to take or go in 2.5 inch cuts all along. You know, these aren't actually too bad just the way they are, but I am going to add some things to them. They're just a little bit boring. Sometimes artist trading cards really need a focal point. They really need something to tell a story. I don't want my story to be boring, so I will add some things to them. So as you can see, I've got all kinds of artist trading cards now ready to go, and they're all really beautiful already. Some of them aren't actually that interesting yet, but before this, we made some inchies, and so I've got some things that I can stick on the front. So I think I'm going to take this one, and I think it would look really good right there on that card because of the red. The red kind of works with that red. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back and stick it on. This is a nice little stationery glue that I got at the stationery store. I really kind of like it. So I'll just let that be a little bit crooked on there because I think crooked is cool. And let that dry. And then I was kind of thinking this one is kind of like that space one, so I thought, this Star Trek one would be fun. I might add some words to this one, but for now I'm going to stick it on with my glue. And then, you know, maybe I'll add some words like greetings or things or something like that. That'll be a fun one. And then there's other ones that aren't as exciting, but like look at this one, it's pretty plain. But all you have to do is add one of your inchies to it and all of a sudden, well, that actually isn't that interesting. This one? No. Maybe this one. Oh, that's not bad because the reds of the berries pick up the red over there. So all of a sudden adding 1 inchy can really make a card seem quite a lot more interesting. Actually, let me check the bird. Maybe the bird goes over here. Anyway, you can play around. That's the nice thing about this, is you've got all these different options that you can try. And when you are happy and comfortable with something, you just glue it on. So I have finished 8 of these artist trading cards, and I'm pretty happy with how they look. As you can see, I used some of the inchies that I made before, and some are just words that I've cut out of places, I don't know, magazines, old pages that I have. I still have lots of materials to make more artist trading cards. I think I ended up with about 25 different cards that I can play with now, which is kind of exciting because it's like a really good head start. So I hope this helps you understand how you can recycle and repurpose your old art and make them into artist trading cards, because every single one is going to turn out different and unique, and it's going to be amazing no matter what you do. And I hope you get a chance to participate in a trade or a mail trade, and all you have to do is do a search on artist trading cards trades, and you'll find places and groups all over the world that are doing this. And it's really fun because you get to see all kinds of other people's artwork. So keep making art, keep having fun, stay creative, and try stuff out, be experimental, take risks, and have a great Saturday.